It's wonderful to see some friendly faces, some new faces. And tonight we came to listen to Rabbi Ari Bensoussan. But of course, I'm from the Valley, so I have to say a few words. So I just want to share with you, based on the topic of tonight, which is instilling security in our children, the first thing that comes to mind, and I just want to share one thought, and B'ezrat Hashem will give over the mic to Rabbi Ari. First of all, I want to share with you a story. I was a Rav in a shul up until I joined Chazak. And recently, this is probably as recent as Elul Zman, so it was around September time. So I was sitting in my seat, and someone comes up to me to speak to me about a very, very urgent matter, which had to do with no coffee being out on the countertop right outside the shul. So of course it's my fault. And I said, it was the middle of, I think it was Kriyat Torah at the time, and I motioned him and I said something along the lines of, something like that. The next Shabbat, when this guy walked into the shul, he made sure to make absolutely zero eye contact with me, to the point that I noticed it, and I went up to him, I tapped him on the back, and he goes, "Don't ever speak to me again in your life." I said, "Okay, can you explain to me why?" He goes to me, "I came to tell you something so important, and you just shrugged me off the way that you did." And I started thinking to myself, I really don't even remember what I did. I for sure didn't do this. I mean, I must have just said something like later, we'll talk later. And of course, this is an old Moroccan guy, so you know what to do. You just have to give him a big hug, give him a big kiss, tell him how great he is, how amazing he is, and all of a sudden he's your best friend in less than 10 seconds, literally. So I did that and it worked. But what was fascinating about that run-into I had with him was that we're talking about an adult. And you see how an adult gets so sensitive about the way that you're telling him, "I'll speak to you a little bit later." Now just imagine when we're speaking about children, and this is what we spoke about last time, a little bit about nonverbal, right, versus verbal messages, that the nonverbal messages make such an impact on the child as to how he's going to react and accept that which you're telling him. So when I think about the topic tonight, when it's we're going to be speaking about security, building security within children, I think about being critical. And I just want to say one thought, this idea about being critical. Being critical, like all the midot, they're all good midot. They all have a positive to it, but they also have a negative to it. Now, a person could be critical, and he can grow from it. He can become a tremendously successful person by being critical. But if a person is too critical, what ends up happening is that he turns into a very unhappy person, because all the details in the world matter, and it's all about how much did you do, how well did you do. You're always looking at what's wrong instead of focusing on what's right. And this midah, unfortunately, when we speak about being critical to children, I think what we have to really track it is to the person himself. And if we work on this midah on ourselves about being critical, I think that it's going to help a lot more when it comes to children. Because a lot of building security has to do with the messages and the nonverbal messages and the verbal messages, and a lot of it stems from criticism and how we criticize. And it doesn't mean you can never criticize a child. I don't like to use word because it has a very negative connotation to it. But it's called educating a child, and there could be criticism in it, and that's fine. But this idea about being critical is something which unfortunately could destroy a child. But our question is, and in the very short amount of time I want to speak, what can we do about that? And just writing a couple of ideas based on really things that I've heard over from my Rebbe, Rav Noach Orlowik Shlita. And there was David HaMelech tells us, Sur meira v'asei tov. Distance yourself from doing bad, v'asei tov, and do good. So the Chachmei HaMusar, they learn it differently. Sur meira, how do you go away from doing bad? It's the famous thing, asay tov, do good. So switch it around, okay? How do you do good when it comes to criticism? Meaning, how do you train yourself? So we have to train ourselves to do when it comes to criticism is for every single thing that we think is not right, we have to find something that is good. I'll tell you, I do this with my own children. They come home from school, oh boy, they have a laundry list of things that they can complain about. His friends did this to him, his Rebbe did this, his English teacher did that, the security guard did this. And I told them already maybe 2 years ago, and it's amazing how much it worked. And I got this strictly from my Rebbe. For every single complaint that they give, you can complain as much as you want. You have to be listened to. You have to be heard. You have to give me something positive about that one person. So at the beginning I was like, well, there's nothing positive about my Rebbe, right? To which I said, I'm sure if you think of something you can find. Now, I don't know if it was because you just couldn't find anything positive with this Rebbe, but slowly but surely, okay, this actually worked. And it was a matter of time, I think it was a matter of months, maybe 6, 8 months, that he would come home with less and less complaints as time went by. It was fascinating. And then what are you doing? Essentially, you're training this child, and by the way, this has to begin with us. Okay, when I say chinuch habanim, it's all the same thing. How you speak to a child is how you speak to yourself. There's no difference. And oh boy, if you think that you're going to be able to trick your child, they read right through us, right? I don't even have to. You don't even have to lie. I know myself. Before I even think of saying a lie, Daddy, don't even say that. They know they're ahead of the game. They can tell from your expressions. They can tell from. They're so intuitive. What did we say last time? We said that a child judges a person first and then thinks about what he said. As opposed to an adult, he thinks about what you said and then he's going to judge you. Right? They're all emotion. That's what they're all about. So really working on this need of criticism is focusing on what's right. Find things that are good. For every little thing we can find that's not right in our house, in the tidiness of our house. I mean, I'm trying to find something. I don't find anything. Everything is perfect over here. Yeah? Except I didn't get my scotch. That's Ari's fault. It's not his wife's fault. Okay? Sit. I had to find a way to stick it in. That's right. That's right. And this is the idea. Instead of, and I'm going to end off with this, instead of trying to re-educate ourselves and trying to suppress a midah, trying to suppress a trait that we have, oh boy, is it difficult. So what do? You try to use the trait that you have difficult with. And the trait that we have the most difficult with, that's where we can find the biggest bracha. That's where we can find the biggest salvation. So where we find ourselves to be critical of others, or of things, or of our children, focus on the good. And more than that, focus on the good before you focus on the bad. Meaning, I see something wrong with that white shirt. There is a stain, right? Before I get to the stain, focus on how beautiful that white shirt is before you speak about the wine stain. With that, like I said, I promised I would not speak that long because I also want to hear Rabbi Ari. For me, it's a night out, it's a treat out, and it's a form of relaxation for me and entertainment. So, with that, I'd like to ask Rabbi Ari Bensoussan to please share with us some beautiful words.
Thank you very much. All right, if it's okay, I can't not sit down. The chair just looks way too comfy. The comfy chair. While they're all saying the comfy chair, no Monty Python fans. Okay, fine. So we'll just get. You're really? That's a Python? No. Okay, don't even. Okay. What are we doing here tonight? So number one, I would like to thank the Bear family. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Bear. Okay. Now from a New Yorker's perspective, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. My first job ever, by the way, my first gig, I was about 18 or 19 years old, and I was flown from New York to San Diego to do an NCSY Shabbaton, to speak by an NCSY Shabbaton. My brain exploded. My ego was just disastrously large. I'm like, yes, well, of course, the flying me. You just feel so, And I showed up there, and Hashem just needed to really take me down a peg. And it was the worst. I spoke, and the kids didn't care. The people was like, why'd you bring this guy? It was terrible. It was a terrible, terrible experience. I got one joke the whole night, which was, I was just telling the kids how in the airport I was tired. So I'm like, I got to the airport, I was so tired, so when I got myself a coffee. And they all started laughing their heads off. It's the funniest thing. I'm like, okay, finally, warming up there. I said, what, like, say it again. I'm like, all right, I was in the airport. Like, no, next part. I'm like, I was thirsty and I got a coffee. They couldn't. Because you all say it weird. Right? You all say coffee. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you mess up your mouth like that to say it. So I say bear, but LA says bar. I don't know what you say. Bear is good though.
I'm from New York, so
Oh, there was, you say bear. There we go. The one was Hashem. Okay. So we would like to really thank Mishpachat Bear for opening up their lovely home to our second night of classes. Okay, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've given this class. We had our first chinuch class. I'm not sure how many people were here by the first one, and it's always difficult to give a second one. Watching Kill Bill Volume 2 really is not all that good if you don't see the first one. So if you are not in it, if you don't know what we spoke about initially, so I'm not going to say you're not going to get it, because this is a separate class, but I guess it does definitely beg somewhat of a recap. And the recap is very simple. The recap of the last class is simply this. The recap is the first class was teaching the concept of Simchat HaChaim, the concept of having just joy in life. My Rebbe Rav Berkowitz would tell us the number one ingredient needed in chinuch, which we defined. Chinuch is not so much bringing up your kids as it is making yourself great. Children are a challenge for you so that you can reach a higher plane in God's purpose in this world. They're terrible kids, I know. You know, I have Blian Haran, we have 4 boys and we just had a girl. I was telling somebody before, thank God I had 4 boys before this girl, because the baby girl doesn't stop crying ever. It just cries just for the sake of crying. My first 4 boys, when they were babies, they were like, all right, look, I'm thirsty, so I'm going to cry. I'm going to express this. And once I'm done expressing it, once you give me some food, I'm going to relax. Because it's all good. We're okay. You got me, and I got you. So I'm just going to chill now and look cute, take some pictures, fine, paparazzi. We're going to do this. This little girl that we got, God bless her soul, you go and feed her, and she's just like, well, for no reason. There's just no rhyme or reason for it. So children really test our everything, our patience, our outlook on life. Just how much can you pick up on this? You know, you just get to a point where you're wondering, you know, if I throw it up and punt it off of a porch, is there still enough baby fat that'll bounce? Maybe, I don't know. You get so worked up. But Hashem tells us that chinuch, the reason why we explained last time, we bring the children to the concept of the kahal, when everybody gets together once every few years in the Bet HaMikdash, we bring the kids over there to hear the Torah being read by the Kohen Gadol, by the king as well, because to give sachar to those who brought them, and Rashi explains, to give sachar, to give reward to the parents. The children are there for us to build ourselves to get to our purpose, because if you're an angry person, the moment you turn into a father or a mother, you're done being angry. It should have stopped when you got married. But no, she just has to understand that I'm just a raging lunatic. So as much as your wife has to put up with that, but now that you're a father, all bets are off. You now have to change every reality that you used to think was you, and you have to prove to yourself that there's greatness lying dormant inside you. And last class was a demand of everybody to have simchat hachaim, to have a joy in life. To literally, no matter what the children throw at you, no matter what life throws at you, and we gave plenty of examples then, to have a joy in life. If you may say that that's an impossibility, it's not. I'm not saying that I've mastered it. You know, I'm not Kung Fu Panda. I haven't mastered Eternal Peace in just the second movie. I haven't done that. But ultimately, though, we're working at it. And just if I can throw out one book as a reference, The Six Constant Mitzvot, which is a terrific book written from the classes from my Rebbe, Rav Berkowitz, and that literally teaches us to have a relationship with God. The Six Constant Mitzvot, it's really a fabulous book that will teach a person that no matter what God throws at you, it's always the best thing for you. I have classes online that really cover it in depth. If anybody's interested, I'm telling you that it's an awesome lifelong journey, and it's so rewarding. It feels so good to finally be in control, not being controlled. And literally, your children will certainly pick up on that. A happy home is something that is the main ingredient. That was last class. It's up online if you want to go see it. Let's jump into this week's class. All right. So this is there something I can, hello, little munchkin table. Wow. Okay, this table was looking at all the other tables and say, Mom, Dad, when will I grow up to be a table? And the husband's just like, look, you're going to have to tell it. This is it. This is all you're getting. You're never going to get bigger than this. How do you even okay, I'm going to keep on turning and hope for the best. All right. This doesn't help me. Oh my gosh, do you remember the first Men in Black? When he had the tiny table that he was trying to write his conscience? This is the table. Oh my gosh, how'd you find it? How'd Will Smith let you just walk out of his house with this? Okay, we're going to come back to this. All right. So tonight is about giving kids security. Tonight is about making our kids feel very secure. What does that mean? So we're in a world that is a very, very interesting world that we live in. The world demands of us a lot. It demands of us to have to make a living. It demands of us to have to constantly be involved in everything that is the world. I mean, you have to. At the same time, the challenge is to be able to provide for our family, to provide for our children, without getting caught up inside the craziness that is this world. Without getting caught up inside the just societal norms that Los Angeles, that New York, that England, that any place really demands of us. There are societal norms that everything, I mean, just in the news today, I was hearing how the Democratic Party now is pushing to try to really prove that there's no such thing as male or female. There just is, I don't know, I don't have the words. I hope to never have the words. Just to read it. So there are certain societies that try to not only have their society as a functioning place in which I'm going to put in and I'm going to get back and I'm going to bring up my family in a wholesome value that I believe and I see fit. Rather, there's a society. The first time I got off the plane from Los Angeles last year when I came here as a pilot trip from Israel to come see if I want to move to this ridiculous place. When I walked through the airport, I already called my wife and said, I don't think we're going to do this. Because there were 3 bathrooms. There was the men, the women, and then the one that seemed like a lady had her skirt like caught in the wind. It's just like, you know, half of a skirt. And I was like, what's going on over here? I had no idea. Like, what's this for? It's just an odd thing. Until it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I can't have my kids walking around society and just asking, Abba, what is this? We grew up in a crazy world. And I drive my kids to school every single day in carpool. And a lot of times they're just like, she's not sneeze, she's not sneeze, she's not sneeze, she's not sneeze. You know, just pointing at all the different billboards and everything. We grew up in a crazy world, and we have to be a part of that world because we have to be able to provide for our children. I'm not saying that anybody should just live outside of things. You know, we shouldn't be a nomad. But at the same time, we have to understand that if we're bringing up our children inside this world, we have to provide for them some kind of a shelter. So when we get caught up inside it, just us ourselves, the amount that we get caught up in the society of everything, we waste so much of our life, so much time is killed because it turns into what we call hergel. Hergel is called habit. It's just this process where we do the same thing over and over and over again. And this habitual life is something where once you get into your mode of coming home and you're tired and turn on Netflix, so you get into that thing where we have hours and hours and hours of life wasted. And honestly, we go up to Shemayim afterwards. They're going to point out and say to us, what did you do? How did that happen that you wasted so much of your life? And the answer's going to be, I spent how much time on Amazon? I what? And by the way, I mean, it's fantastic. You know, Hashem went and decided that he's going to now put screen timing on your iPad or on your iPhone so that when you get up to heaven, you're like, look, there's no chance I wasted years of my life. And Hashem's like, somebody please bring me his iPhone. And they're going to bring it up and be like, look, give a look. And just times it by 7 times a week and everything else. Now, you actually spent all of these years of your life in nothingness, in fantasy, in the opposite of reality, because we decided not only just to be involved in society. I mean, honestly, if I sat here tonight and said, Rabbi Isai, we have to talk about everybody has to get a kosher phone. Right? Wow, he's insane, right? That's insane. Why would you ever say that? It's almost offensive. These rabbis are trying to ruin my life. No, we're trying to just save some time so you can do something that's worthwhile. But we get involved in hergel. We get involved in the reality of what life is, not just to be involved for a parnasah or just be involved because we live in this place. Rather, we buy in lock, stock, and barrel to the reality of what society is throwing us. Now, I'm bringing this up because when we have our children, we don't want them to fall into this. You know, men love just doing stupid things to kill time. We will jump out of planes, you know, just dangerous things, just stuff. I know women too. You can jump out of planes also. Nobody's stopping. But like just for the most part, to just go. You know, danger is like this thing that we're attached to sometimes, you know. I think men smoke cigarettes just to do something dangerous, but be lazy at the same time, you know. Just be like, look, I want to do something dangerous, but I want to leave my couch. So I'm just going to do this right now. It's just because we're constantly just throwing away this time and just wanting to do crazy things with our lives. And honestly, if let's say we were born as adults, if let's say like the time before the Mabul, the Midrash tells us that actually people were born into adulthood. Isn't that ridiculous? People came out fully formed. All right, insane. And a guy comes out and he's just like, wow, that was insane. That was the craziest slip and slide I'll ever go through. Right? I think the guy came out just fully formed. And imagine if we did. If people came out fully formed, functioning, thinking people, they'd look around and see people doing the craziest things, running after the most ridiculous, and they'd be like, what are they doing? Like you know, just, is this life? Is this what I'm born into? Is this it? And they're like, no, I mean, you only get about 70, 80, 90 years of this, and then after that, you have Olam Haba. It's like, all right, so what are you doing for Olam Haba? How long is that? Oh, that's eternity. Okay, so this is done for Olam Haba? No, this is Netflix. This is for right now, because a new season of The Punisher just came out. So, I mean, that's just all there is. And oh my gosh, by the Yetzer Hara has been working on overdrive, because everybody and their mother is now making shows. It's everywhere, you know, and Netflix and Amazon and everybody and every single cable station. And now Apple is coming on. Everybody is making their own shows to not give us a minute to stop and be able to think, what is our future? So that's our problem. Tonight is not a Musar thing for you. No. I just needed to show you got a problem. You're fighting over the scraps of what society is deeming important, and you can't get enough of it. You're literally grabbing at it with two hands. And I'm telling you that because we don't want our children to follow down that same path. We don't want our children's hergel, we don't want our children's habits for them to just simply fall into what it is that we have fallen into. We want something better for them. So, I think we can all agree. If anybody here would just say, and I've met parents like this, oh, I'm just going to throw my kid into society. Just going to throw him in there. Just going to throw him into the world and let him learn things on his own. Maybe that worked back in the 50s when it came to teaching your kid how to swim, you know, or maybe just the norms of society when we were growing up, maybe they were a little bit less perverse. But nowadays, that's a death sentence, not just for the religiosity of your child, but for the sanity of your child. A child's brain can't take in what society is offering them at such a young age. So, what do you do? So the rabbis teach us from the youngest of ages, and tonight's class is split into two concepts. The first one is habit building, and the second one is security. But you can't talk about security before we talk about habit building. So the rabbis teach us from the youngest of ages, start building habits, start forming hergel, start forming some kind of a habitual act that your children do that are within the confines of a Torah lifestyle. Not because we're running after religion, because the kids don't understand it. Well, your kids understand Moda'ani. Your 4-year-old understands Moda'ani, understands the depth of it. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. Your kids understand Shema Yisrael when they're 3 years old when you're singing the... No. So what are you doing that for? And the answer is, we're trying to start our children off within our societal norms, within what we deem to be normal, helpful, wholesome, healthy, and beautiful. Because they're going to belong to some kind of a societal structure that's going to happen to them. And so as parents, we are the ones who are meant to set forth the wheel in motion. That habit from the youngest of ages should be something that they're building that as a norm within their own life. So, I'll give you an example. Last time we talked about Simchat HaChaim. Let's talk about the Simchat HaTorah now. I have a brother-in-law who lives up in the city, Gavaldig Yid. He's a rabbi in Eula. He's one of my heroes. The guy's incredible. And from the youngest of ages, his children saw, and he would tell his children all the time, there's only one thing that I own in this world. He doesn't own his house. It's just too expensive in Los Angeles to buy a house, especially in the city. Go to the valley. All right. So, right, but it's just too expensive, so he doesn't own a house. He's still working on payments to own his minivan eventually. There's one thing that I own. I own my sukkah. He has one of those old school wooden sukkahs, the old ones that we grew up with. Our parents had those old ones. And I don't know where, I think he bought it in Israel and brought it over on the lift when they came from Israel. He has it sitting in the garage. There's a huge monstrosity. It takes up half his garage. And his kids are so excited. After Yom Kippur, they know. Daddy is not going to call his students, his 12th grade kids in Eula, to come help him. Daddy is going to even ask us for help. He loves doing this because it's his sukkah that he loves. He goes out, one board, another board, another board. It takes him 5 to 8 hours, the guy. Screw and he's sweating and he's dancing and singing the entire time. He loves his sukkah. His kids know Daddy's outside doing the sukkah, and they come out, can we help? He's like, I don't know, it's my sukkah. But they want to help screw and they want to help hold it, and they all get involved. And then Mommy, his wife, she goes down to downtown, apparently where the flowers are much cheaper. She buys them in bulk. And she brings it back, and Mommy's going down to, she comes back with the whole minivan is packed with flowers. Come help me with the flowers, gorgeous flowers. They set up the whole sukkah, the most intricate details of flowers. It's gorgeous. And they all sleep in the sukkah, right up. You want to see next year, Weatherly and Whitworth, they all sleep in the sukkah all nights of Sukkot. Him and his kids, they all have their cots, they open it up. Who gets to sleep next to Daddy? The children slept there before they could even walk. Because Daddy loves this sukkah. That's a hergel, that's a habit-forming just activity that we teach our children from the youngest of ages, that when they see how involved we are and how thrilled we are with what we're doing, it automatically has this overflow to the children that they love that. So, fun can't be forced. Joy can't be forced. You can't force your kids to enjoy. Tell you the truth, the fathers who I see bring their kids to shul and the kids just can't stand it, the kid is hating being there, I don't know if the kid should be there just yet. You shouldn't make this religion as a burden upon them. What's fun? Education is not fun. Educational toys, it's just like kids can smell out an educational toy from a mile away. You bring it home like, yeah, kids like, oh my gosh, thank you, Daddy. What is it? Is it a dump truck? Yeah, no, it's a dump truck. Oh, okay. What's this? Oh, it's also the ABCs. Teaches you how to spell as you dump stuff out. It'll only dump if you say the correct letter. The kid looks at you, he's like, I hate you. I hate that you're doing this to me. What? Education's not fun. But at the same time, what mommy and daddy does is fun. A good Rebbe can make education fun. When the Rebbe's having an amazing time, then that turns fun. Whatever a parent is into, children are into. That's the reality of it. Unfortunately, I grew up with lots of comic books and movies growing up. That's just who I am. That's my story. And my kids to this day, you say the word Batman in my house, and just everybody's ear just perks up just a little bit. Like, don't say Batman. It's just something because their father's a baby. Don't judge. You know, and if you haven't gotten into it, I think the most brilliant way to tell a story, the medium of, okay, I'm not going to get into it, but it really is just the greatest stories ever told. There's a reason why comic book movies make billions of dollars. Nobody's convinced. I'm telling you, they're awesome. So I haven't read comics in a long time. That's not it. But my kids know the joy that Abba gets from comic books, and that's it. They just have that joy. That's what it is. If your joy is in money, and I know I'm sounding like a rabbi. Oh, here guy's a rabbi hating money. I don't hate on money, but I want to tell you a ridiculous story. That's the only reason I'm saying money. There's somebody who I know. Listen to this craziness. Somebody who I know who grew up, and this person's parents were into money. I mean, like literally money, 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 money. And this person told me they never saw their father the whole week. The father, who went to work only a half hour away from the house, could not come home at night because the father he had a cot that he slept inside his office. He would sleep there. That was it for most of the year. Certain off seasons, but for most of the year because when China's business, this one opens up, down, the guy is working all the time. But he has children, of course. So he used to come home on Thursday night with his brother, with my friend's uncle. They would come home. You ready for this? They'd order pizza. All the cousins would come over. Now, this is a Sephardi, so everything is cash business. Right? According to government, they are as poor as church mouse, right? But they came home with literally attaché cases full of just dirty money. They came home with cash, just in bags and bags and bags of cash. They would come home. They would order pizza to their basement of their big, beautiful house. They owned cash machines. Like in the bank, a cash, brr-ding, cash machines. And this was the family adventure. The kids would sit down and the kids would put their hands and pull out a fistful of money. Crying inside, I promise. And they would put it into the machines, 1,000, and just put them on Eat Pizza and just see the father's joy. I'm providing for my children. What a yet. So those children became infatuated with money. I mean, infatuated is not the word. Just like ridiculously hell-bent on the craziness that money has to offer. That's what these children became because that's joy. That's what they're giving over. Whatever kind of joy you bring into the home, that will ultimately begin to mold the habit and societal norms that are your family, for better or for worse. If they're positive traits, then it's going to be for better. If they're negative traits, it's going to be for worse. So, 2-year-olds, you start to get them into a habit at the youngest age. You sing Shema to them when they go to sleep. Whatever it is that you try to do. Now, again, 2-year-olds are morons. Right? I mean, can we all agree that 2-year-olds are the biggest idiots ever? That's what they are. They're just stupid. Because they're only 2. I'm not making fun of them. Just their brain hasn't developed yet. But they can already start to pick up on certain, simple, fluid consistencies that are running through your life. And you're starting to give your kids this comfort that everything in life is good and a connection, and Abba and Mommy are happy with this because the Simchat HaChaim that we spoke about last week, and that begins to build them. Let's use an example. Your 6-year-old comes home. He says he hates somebody. I hate the kid. I hate. So we heard that Reb Meir said an absolutely brilliant idea that Reb Orlowick told us to go and to try to have your kid find the positivities of it 100%. But I just want to talk about what is your knee-jerk reaction? When your kid comes home, what is the knee-jerk reaction to your kid? I hate him, I can't. So when you want to teach a lesson to your kid, you say to him, we don't hate people. No, we don't. We just, We don't hate people. We don't hate people. Yeah, I'm sure they did something wasn't so nice to you, and I'm sure you have a reason to be upset. But we don't hate people. We don't hate people. Is that a good answer? I mean, honestly, if I told you that, By the way, does anybody here know why we don't hate people? A bunch of parents in the room, a bunch of teachers, our future here in the room. So why don't we hate? Like what's the deal with not hating? So I'll just tell you. I'm just too excited. So it says, it's a pasuk, I think somebody just mentioned, you're not allowed to hate your brother in your heart. You're supposed to give them musar. You're supposed to tell them. But why? I mean, so the Torah says you're not allowed to harbor hate inside your heart for somebody. But why not? What's the reason behind that? So I want to tell you what Rav Berkowitz taught us. The reason why is, and by the way, you know that halacha? I taught this to a lot of your kids in Emek last week. We went through this. By the way, if you have a kid in 7th or 8th grade or Mechina, fantastic kids, and I think Emek is doing really a fantastic job with them. I go, I don't tell you what I do. So I'm a Rabbi Chazak. Reb Meir's a Rabbi Chazak. What we do is basically community outreach to everybody everywhere. We go to schools, we go to shuls, we go everywhere, and we teach and teach and teach like what we're doing tonight. So we taught this concept, which is that if somebody comes to you after 3 times, you're supposed to forgive them. What if they did the worst thing in the world to you? Do you still have to forgive them? The answer is halachically, yeah, you're supposed to forgive them. But why? They don't deserve forgiveness. Now, the reason why is because, honestly, you're not allowed to hate because it ruins you. It has nothing to do with the person deserving forgiveness or not. God will take care of that person. You have to forgive because you can't reach your purpose in life. If you're harboring hate for somebody else, you can't reach what God had intended for you if that's your anchor weighing you down. Now, I've had students over the years, unfortunately, who've been abused by their parents. Some of them sexually abused, really terrible stuff. And eventually in Israel, the rabbis, we always have these very close talks with our students, and eventually they come out and they say, this and this happened to me. And throughout the whole year, I coach them to finally forgive that terrible parent. And they yell and scream and curse, and rightfully so, and they tell them what kind of monster they are, and they're completely right. But I push this because I need you to forgive that monster, not because he deserves it. I need you to forgive that monster because you deserve it. And Kol Zman that you don't forgive and you still have that hate inside you, he's still hurting you. But when you finally let it go and just say, that person is damaged. Yeah, even my own father, he has problems and he's sick. And I'm not going to allow that sickness to hurt me anymore. We let that go. And the feeling that I've seen from my students when they finally do let that go is a changed human being. Something incredible. That's why we don't hate. Now, you can explain that to a 6-year-old? I mean, come on. That's impossible. You got to wait until at least 7th or 8th grade in Emek to be able to explain that. So, what are you going to do with your 6-year-old? So the reason why we tell our 6-year-olds that you don't hate is just because we're trying to get them into that motion of hate we stay away from. Hate we stay away from. It's trying to get them into that habit of not allowing that to get. It doesn't, then eventually they pick up on that, but make it that hergel. We try to give them this concept that should be their habit. You need to write a mitzvah note for your kids, let's just say. So, Emek, I don't know what you do, Rabbi. I don't know what you do, but sometimes it's a little bit overbearing. The kids come home and they're like, Abba, I need a mitzvah note. And I just gave one yesterday. They're like, not going to cut it, buddy. We need one every day. We need 2 a day. We have 5 teachers. They don't need mitzvah notes. Oh, what it is. I don't know what it was. So that, my kids are doing okay, You don't need to, but it's nice to give a mitzvah note. So my son came home. And my son, Ozzy, is in 10th grade, and his Rebbe always wants a note saying, he did Rashi. How old is Oz? I said he's 10 years old, no?
You said 10th grade.
He looks like he's in 10th. I mean, I literally asked. He learns Gemara on a 10th grade. He learned Gemara in Israel. Literally, he can run rings around a 10th grader. Bli ayin hara, hamseh shvata nestav, give me ayin hara, Torah anytime. Is this thing even on? I don't even know. Okay. Yeah, can you see behind? Is the screen on? Okay. So he's 10 years old. Anyhow, so his Rebbe wants to get a Rashi note all the time that he did Rashi homework. He did Rashi homework. So at the first few times, but I turn it into a whole event. Whenever he needs it, I turn it into an event. What I do is that I take out a nice piece of paper, I take out a pen, and I write it. I'm an artist a little bit. I write it in like a calligraphy way. Dear Kavod Harav. I would like to, and I write it beautiful and flowery and really nice. The reason why is because my Rebbe Rav Berkowitz, when he was once writing a note for me to somebody, so I said to him, Rebbe, he literally takes so much painstaking strokes, like to make it look good. I said, what are you doing? And he said to me, when you write a note to an Adam Chashuv, you have to, even in the note writing, show your awe of that person. So I said to Azriel, I'm writing this to your Rebbe, and I have such a karata tov that he teaches you Torah. That's amazing. So I'm writing to an Adam Chashuv. I want to take out, it takes me an extra 25 seconds. But now I've taught my child from the youngest of age that instead of harboring hate, we look for a karata tov. This isn't something that you can teach, it's something you have to live. But your kids pick up in that hierarchy, your kids pick up in that habit sense of things, putting it inside the house all the time. We don't harbor hate, we just look. I mean, look, Israelis are very good at not harboring hate. I'll be honest with you. An Israeli will let you know what he thinks on the spot. You ever gone to an Israeli cab driver? It's not like the Israeli cab driver is going to be like, this person is doing something in my cab that I don't like, but I think I'll keep it to myself. Said no Israeli cab driver ever in the history of man. He's going to let you know what's happening. And by the way, they're doing a kiyum in the Torah. Lo tesnach lecha b'levacha. They're not hating on you. They're letting you know right away. I think Sfaradim, for the most part, like Reb Meir told us, just right before that man said to him in the shul, don't ever talk to me again. 10 minutes later, they're talking and drinking arak together, they're best friends. If we have Ashkenazim in the room, so I'm half Ashkenaz, and I'm just going to say, right, moving on. Sometimes, I've found from the other side of things that sometimes Family Feud's not just a game show that you watch on TV once in a while. It's like one of these checklists before you walk into a family wedding that sometimes they're like, okay, look, we haven't spoken to Barbara for the past 5 years because by the last wedding, by her kid's wedding, she sat me at the wrong table. And Uncle Nathan didn't send a check for little Bobby's bar mitzvah, so we're not speaking to him either. And we're not, and the husband's sitting there, okay, Bobby says, who we're hating this year, and just get in there, poor guys, just at the bar, just trying not to make eye contact with anybody. So we don't harbor hate. That's not what we do because it keeps us small. Instead, what we show our children, and this has to be a reality inside the home, is constantly looking for karata tov, looking to do better, looking to just constantly give to others more, because that creates in the children from the youngest of ages a reality of joy inside the home, but more than that, a societal norm of a Jew. There's a friend of mine who he brought his 6-year-old to an Israeli school to get an interview to get to that school. And the principal was showing the kid different pictures. What's this? Oh, that's a Sefer Torah. What's this? Oh, that's matzah. What's this? He pointed to a pair of tefillin. The kid said, I don't know. And the principal looked at the father and said, wait, you don't? Yeah. And the father said, excuse me, I'm thrilled my kid doesn't know what that is. I pray nets. I pray when the sun comes up every day with a minyan. My kid has never seen me in tefillin. He's only 6. Meaning, I taught my kid a reality of the fact that you literally go to shacharit every single day. That's teaching a societal norm to your child, that that's something of value to the parents. So, why do we teach muksa from the youngest of ages? It's a dirabanan. I'm not beating up on muksa, but muksa on Shabbat. Kids are, that's muksa, that's muksa. Again, it's teaching a Jewish societal norm. This is allowed, this is not allowed. It's a lifestyle that they have to get used to from the youngest of ages. I told my kids that I was going to a public school to go teach public school kids here. And my son Azriel said to me, what's public school? I just moved here from Israel. We have 13 years in Israel. I said to him, well, that's a place where the goyim go. It's not a place that Jewish kids have rebbeim. So Oz is like, oh, so rabbis, though, show up there to teach Torah, right? I'm like, no, Oz, they don't. He's like, so why are you going? I said, because some kids go there. It's so out of his societal norm that this shift in his brain, I heard it hurting his brain to have to find new brain cells to make a new idea, a new folder now. He's like, what? He couldn't compute it. Error. He's like, but there's a yeshiva. Why do the parents? Because his sister. Now you may say, oh no, your kid is you're keeping him too pampered. You're keeping him too hidden away from society. Don't worry. That's perfectly fine. You can keep your kids nice and pampered away from society. They're going to grow up soon enough, and they're going to figure out what society is about. But they'll figure it out when they're comfortable enough within their own Jewish society, and they feel that my own society and what I have makes so much sense to me that everything else outside of there is second best, because what I've been given is something so much greater. You know, keeping kids sheltered. Last year when I came here, I stayed by somebody's house, and I saw that they were having a party by the pool in the backyard. Little boys, little girls, they're 7, 8 years old, but they're blasting just non-Jewish music. I don't know what they were blasting. I'm going to sound like a Rebbe now. They were blasting Britney Spears. You know, I don't know. Is she still even alive after she shaved her head? I don't even know. But they were blasting whatever non-Jewish music. So what's the problem with that? What's the problem with non-Jewish music? And simply, for parents to have that blasting the whole time, you have now opened up a place for your children to say this is a part of your society. Their values, I as a mother, as a father, agree with those values. We're okay with that. We're okay with all of whatever those values may be. And so now what you've done, instead of keeping your child within this sheltered zone, you're now popping holes inside that shelter and allowing for your child to start to pick up, and there's no no non-Jewish music that itself keeps within complete shelteredness. It's not a reality. You know, even Disney music, within it, let's just say, it's The Little Mermaid. I mean, even within that, gonna kiss the girl, woo, woo, la 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 la, don't be shy, you want to kiss the girl, woo, woo. You don't want your child listening to that, because now you've opened up a reality that shouldn't have been for him, that you're putting a stamp on and saying that that's okay. Look, Jewish music, thank God, has come a long way. Oh, Baruch Hashem, thank you. I mean, growing up with Jewish music over there, I have no idea.
They just copy it.
So to tell the truth, it's 100% true. You know, they're just a year behind, because now every single song has The Greatest Showman going on inside it. It's just, I know that. So, but for the most part, though, you do have some good stuff. Zusha is such a trip. They're doing their own thing. They're just on their own planet. I love them to death. When we were growing up, I don't know how the saxophonist got into every single... Somebody shoved that thing down his throat. Somebody stop him. And I don't know why you always needed like backup singers to just agree with the main singer. But that always happened. The backup singers, it's true. You know, it's absolutely what he's saying. We completely sign on that. So we grew up with some music. Nothing's out from free. He has some great stuff. But Lamaisa, thank God Jewish music has at least become something that is palpable more. Look, I grew up with Jewish music. I didn't like it. I jumped over to the dark side when I was in high school with non-Jewish music. I fell in love with non-Jewish music, unfortunately. And now... I don't listen to that either, because it's damaging to the brain, so I listen to the sound of the wind as I drive. Just put down the windows and that's all I got. Or I listen to Shiurim, think of eternity time. Or I listen to, some Zusha, some tripped out stuff, which I personally enjoy. But understand what we're doing when you go and you're giving over that to your children. A parent giving an iPhone to their child, their 8, 10-year-old child. What a moron you are if you're doing that. I mean, holy moly. You're literally opening up an entire world that your child's brain cannot handle. You're putting a stamp and you're saying it's okay. YouTube, it's all of it. It's just okay. And I'm not saying it from a perverse perspective. I'm saying it literally just from keeping your child within a societal norm that's healthy. Something that's normal and good and wholesome. And whatever is on that phone is not normal and good and wholesome. It just isn't. It's tearing your child apart. I used to run a camp. I remember we woke up in the hotel. We used to have sleepaways, whatever. Woke up. The counselor came over to me. I got a big problem, Rabbi. I said, what's going on? 5th grade kids. He said, a kid came over to me with his iPhone, and he showed me this iPhone only had like 3% left. And the kid said, yeah, but I charged it the whole night. What was happening? He said, I took it away, and I saw that for about 8 hours the whole night, one of the other kids were watching pornography. 5th grade. 5th grade. His innocence is gone. Everything, his respect for women is finished with. All of it, gone. You're finished. It's terrible. In the same camp. I was once a kid. Everybody go up onto the boat. We're going to Great Adventures. We're going to Great Adventures. Hooray! It was a kid, 6th grade. Sitting there on the step. I'm like, come on, kiddo. Bus is waiting. It's like, I can't go. So we do. My mom doesn't let me. I'm like, what does that mean, your mom doesn't let you? He said, my mom said that I have to hand my iPad over to you, and only if I give it to you will I be allowed to go onto the bus. I can't have it on the trip. So I said, okay, give me the iPad, let's go. He's like, no, I'm not giving it up. It's my iPad. I said, I'm not gonna steal it, dude. He's like, no, I'm not giving it up. So I went into the office quickly. I called the mother, and she's like, yeah, I put my foot down. I said, oh, that's good. You put your foot down now. So why why does your child have an iPad? He's in 6th grade. No, now you decided. You're gonna do. She's like, no, I told him because you're going on a trip and you don't need to have it. I said, he doesn't need to have it at all. It's like, no, but he wanted it so much. Got done with her. But she said to me, please, you can't let him on. I come back again. I said to him, but your mom said you can't. This is true. And I saw he was sitting there trying to get onto all the Wi-Fi things inside the building. They're all locked. I said, you can't get onto the Wi-Fi either way. It's all locked. Please, kiddo, come on the bus. And he said to me, I can't. I said, why not? He's like, I need my iPad. I said, you're going to get it back, but you're going to have a great time at Great Adventures. He said, no, you don't understand. Every kid sitting on that bus has either an iPhone or an iPad. I want to be the only one without it. And there was nothing I could say back to him. Morons. I only worked in that camp. If I had those families for the year, what I would do, I mean, it's you're tearing apart your children's innocence like you can't imagine. Allowing the world in the child's pocket, the society of the world, the one that you don't want your child to fall into the clutches of, and you're giving him it. Stop. Be a mother, be a father, put your foot down, say, no, this is no good for you. You can't have this. Even my iPad, by the way, this thing is locked up the wall. I can't, no in-app browsing, no anything. The whole thing is locked up. My phone locked up. I don't even trust myself, even. I certainly don't trust myself. I mean, come on. How can any human being live? How much less your children? So, what we're trying to point out over here, step 1 of the evening, is understanding that we're trying to get our kids into a mode. Friday night, you have to sing Shalom Aleichem. Why? Your kids need that. Your kids need that as a reality of Herigel. It comes to saying Eshet Chayil, you have to sing that. Kiddush, you have to say that. You know, on Yom Tov, when you go to Yom Tov and you don't say Shalom Aleichem, it feels a little bit weird. You're just getting right into Kiddush. You know why? Because you're so used to that. Sing the same songs every week for your kids to feel that this is Shabbat, this is Shabbat. Have you ever had Shabbat in the hospital, Lo Aleinu? It feels so weird. Why? You're thrown out of your Herigel. You're thrown out of your habit. It's not you have to have a home that literally gives them Herigel, and that Herigel has to be within a Jewish valued society. Negel Vaser in the morning. Modani lefanecha. Singing him to sleep with Shema Yisrael. Tzitzit in the morning. Why is it so important for a 6-year-old to wear tzitzit? Honestly, Herigel. This is me. This is what I do. Have you ever driven to school, dropping your kid off by Emek or wherever you send a child to school, and your kid remembers in the car, Ma, I'm not wearing my tzitzit. We have to go back. You're like, okay, look, you don't have to have your tzitzit. No, I have to. You know why your kid is freaking out that he has to? It's because it's so a part of his life. It's so intuitive inside his mind that this is me. Have you ever seen when you drop off a baby for the first time, you drop off your 1.5-year-old, your 2-year-old by what do you call a gan in English? A daycare. Thank you. You go and you drop them off by the first time the kid is crying and yelling and screaming. What do they do in daycare? It's brilliant. They have a schedule. From 9 to 9:30, there's music, and then nap time. And they get the kid used to this schedule of going over, and before you know it, the kid runs out because now it becomes a part of his schedule. You have to build within the reality of your home this schedule, and it now brings us to the next part of security. We're almost done. The concept of making a kid feel secure. So the Svarim, the rabbis, tell us something incredible. They say, why did God make it that you have parents and children? Like, why do it that way? Why make it like that? So we have parents and children because it's to teach us how to manifest the concept of bitachon. That's the reason. Let me explain. Bitachon literally means security. Feeling that I am taken care of and nothing bad can happen to me. Faith in God, I know we use the word bitachon as faith, but in truth, what does it mean? Right, it means that God is with me always and nothing can happen to me, right? The word bitachon in Israel means security. The security guards always have bitachon written on there because it literally means we have trust in the concept that we are secure within God. When a child is taught from the youngest of ages, Abba says, no, you can't have that. As long as you have simcha chayim, as long as you have joy in the home, like we spoke last time, all the time, and everyone's happy the whole time, and your kid understands, Abba and Mommy love me, and if they're saying to me no, it's because it's the best thing for me. Now, your child is not going to express it that way. Nobody has a kid like that. And he's going to yell and scream and throw a tantrum. But in the back of their mind, they have that nugget because they know that that is a reality. Because the rest of the day, you're loving them and it's happy the whole time. So when Abba says no, this is the best thing for me. Even if Mommy says no, Abba says yes sometimes, Abba says no sometimes. In that reality, eventually, your child is going to make a transfer from my Abba that I see, my human Abba says no, but it's the best for me, to my Abba in Shemayim says no, but it's the best for me. You have now taught your kid bitachon in Hashem. My Rebbe Rav Berkowitz goes so far as to say this isn't something that you can just teach. It's something that you have to literally give over, that a child has to be able to hear and feel from his parents. If there's a child who gets that, so then what you're going to now bring up is a trusting child, somebody who feels secure with himself. If he grows up in an environment that fosters trust, he feels trust in his parents, he feels trust in people. A kid who grows up with that security grows up really ready to tackle the world, ready to take care when problems have arisen because he feels secure. A kid without security, a kid who grows up with no beer, where one day has no beering, one day on the next, where there's no bedtime, there are no rules basically, that today is one way, tomorrow's another way. A kid who's brought up without basic, simple rules. So you're ruining that child's basic, simple security. They have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring. They have no idea like what is going to happen tomorrow. Meaning you've ingrained a certain uncertainty, and they have a very hard time trusting people, and they certainly have a hard time trusting God. You have certain families that have no rules that the children just run around like crazy little wild savages. And literally, what's going to come of that is a child who has no feeling of, I'm safe. Because everything is uncertain. I had a student of mine in Israel. The first week he showed up, he was sleeping on the couch inside the main room. Now, I didn't know why, because he had a perfectly good bed, and he had a great bed. Why are you sleeping on a couch? So I figured the first night, the second night, the kid is sleeping on the couch all the time. Finally, I got to know him. And finally, he opened up and told me. His parents, his mother was Jewish, his father's not, and his parents got married. His mother eventually wanted to become more religious, and the father said, I never signed up for this. And for some odd reason, they stayed together, but they lived in a two-bedroom house. And now he was kicked out of his room. His father slept in one room, his mother slept in another room for 20 years. And he was on the couch. Just kicked onto the couch. So to him, a bed is a foreign, that's it, it's a couch. That's what I do. I sleep on couches. It's been almost 10 years now that I've known him, and he's been my student. We're still working on him trusting me. We're still working on the fact that I promise you I only have good, and I only want to give you just happiness in your life. Please just answer. Please just connect. Because he was so damaged in the fact that he had warring parents with each other all the time, and his security was completely vacuumed out of his life. And because of that, the uncertainty of it was something that he couldn't lead a normal existence. So, kids who don't feel secure, they don't have social norms. I'm seeing this a lot more. Kids who are just socially awkward. The close talkers. I don't know who's birthing them all, but they're coming in mass. Just the ones who have to talk to you this close. I don't know what the deal is, but like just they're socially off. They don't understand social simple cues. When you're just talking or giving a conversation, they're just and they're just out of their minds. they don't, it's not that they're ADD or ADHD, it's just simply that they don't follow the fact that there's a socially accepted thing now of a person talking or somebody talking to you. You have the kids who lie all the time. I was getting these more and more. The kid would sit in the back of my class and say, yeah, well, I'm a millionaire, really. And everyone's like, what? It's like, yeah, when Apple, whenever they come up with new software, they send it to me. Whatever. I'm a big whiz. And you know what? Like, first guys believe it, but then after like 20 minutes, they pick up on the fact that he's absolutely full of it. And they're like, oh yeah, well, tell us. So did you ever work for anybody in Hollywood? Oh yeah, sure. Brad Pitt and I. So good. So good. And and you could see the guy spewing garbage. And it was my job back in Israel, a few guys, I would have to call them out on it. You know how uncomfortable that is? To have to call them out and stop spewing that. Nobody believes you. You don't have a friend in the world because nobody knows who you are, because you don't know who you are, because you keep on putting up all these fake fronts, because you never felt secure in your own skin, because your parents robbed that from you. And it's about time you stop lying, because I'm sure there's somebody good underneath all of that. And if only we can find that, because there has to be something good in there, I'm sure. And when we find that, we can introduce that to the world. Maybe, just maybe, you can have a friend or two and feel love because you never had that and you've been insecure your entire existence. Please make secure kids and stop sending me all those oddities. So, happy kids, they don't steal, they don't kill. Secure kids aren't jealous, they can take an insult. So how do you build it? How do you build secure kids? So, like we said, the world is crazy. You need to build them, they need to feel secure in this insecure world. You have to make them feel happy. A few weeks ago, my kids came running in and said, Abba, the cops are outside. I'm like, what? That only happened in Israel. Well, the cops are outside. I'm like, well, what's happening? They said, I saw somebody who was doing drugs. My 6-year-old said that. I saw him drinking the drugs, Abba. I'm like, you saw him drinking the drugs. This is, you're gonna tell this to the news soon, that this is, you're gonna Jesse Smollett this one, you're gonna take it for all it's worth. You saw him drinking the drugs. And he's like, oh yeah, well, and he's like, Abba, but what are drugs? I'm like, what is happening? I see in the shop, the cops, and there was a drug bust right by my corner. Like, what is happening over here? This is crazy. Yeah? My same 6-year-old, Akiva, the week before that was, they had like a lemonade stand outside. They were selling lemonade for $1. And Akiva, my 6-year-old, was standing outside with a half-drink Gatorade. And he was yelling to cars driving by, Gatorade for $1! Gatorade! So my wife came out, she said to him, Coobs, what are you doing? He's like, selling Gatorade for $1! It's like, why are you selling it? He's like, Ma, I need money. He's like, why do you need money? I don't want to be homeless. So his words. My wife was like, who told you about homeless? He's like, who told me? There's that one. There's this one over there. I think I'm stepping on one. They're everywhere. We literally live in a world that breeds insecure all the time. I had to bring my kids in, and we had the drug talk. What are drugs? Yeah, those are drugs. You guys remember in Boiler Room? Those are drugs. Okay, what's your excuse? You don't know that reference. I mean, honestly. This is too much work. But Lamais, I had to teach them, what's this concept? And just to make them feel secure in their own front yard, because it was just a drug bust. No, it's okay, and the cops will be there, and those people don't come here all the time. How do you know? I've been living here for 2 months, right? and you got to make them feel secure. And then the homeless, the guy made some bad choices, but that's really not, you're never going to be homeless. Hashem loves you and watch over you, and your Abba's never going to, just trying to make them feel secure in this insecure world. So number one, how do you make them feel secure? You do what we said initially, bring them up within a societal norm of Jewish upbringing that's healthy and wholesome. They'll feel secure in that, but now let's go a step further.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please, I've lost my notes. Either way, go for it.
So that's something that I'm not saying we don't find a lot, because obviously we do. We have our own problems with addiction, within the communities in the Jewish world. But something that we see a lot that our kids are exposed to in our Jewish schools and everywhere is divorce. And that would seem to be something that makes them very insecure.
That's such an important... Yeah.
Talk about it.
I don't know what to tell you, except that all I have maybe on some people here is simply just experience. I was a rabbi in Israel for 18-year-old boys for 13 years, right? So I got every shape, color, and all the craziness possible, and a lot of children of divorce. a lot, too much. And some of them were unfortunately very, very hurt children, and some of them were extremely healthy. I mean, like really, really healthy, beautiful kids. And it literally came down to, I mean, because I would talk to them, and like I became a student of their life, of their experiences. You know, teach me what happened to you. You know, give me your story. There's nothing like learning up somebody else's story and seeing the caveats of their life and the greatness of their life. And I think as a running common denominator of the healthier divorced kids was simply that the parents made them secure.
I'm actually talking about like for people who aren't getting divorced.
I'm getting there right now. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. But you know what? It's still a very valid point.
It's like, I remember when my daughter was 17 now, I think she was 5, when her first little friend came home and she cried, is that going to happen to you and daddy? You know, like it was really,
Wow.
You know, it's a really tough thing for 5, 6 year olds.
I stuck it out.
Why is he flinching? I don't touch it. Did you see that?
We all flinch. It's just how God made man. 100%, and I'm going to get to that soon, but I'm happy you brought that up because just for divorced parents, they should know that from my experience of seeing kids on the other side of it, I shouldn't even say this. These words shouldn't come out of my mouth right now. Therapy sometimes is not a good thing. I'm sorry. Certain therapists, the way that they went about it with a lot of my students is trying to make the kid his own island of security before the kid was ready. Just telling the kid, you know, well, you're strong and you have you and that's it, and it's your decisions in your life. And the kid, no, he wasn't. No. You just need parents who will not use the kid as a bargaining chip, not pull me, push me. That's not what your child is. Simply what it is everybody, it's just like marriage. You're just still compromising and forgiving. That's what, even after divorce, your kids have to constantly seek compromise. That mommy and daddy aren't fighting again because of you. I mean, the parents who did that, I'm not saying that's easy, but I am saying that it makes you amazing. Chinuch, like we said in the first 10 minutes of this class, God demands something amazing from you, which is to be in control of your anger, be in control of your smallness, be in control of it. I am telling you that people who have divorced children, I've seen great kids come from it when the parents were bigger than themselves. All right, but as far as this goes, yeah, I'm going to get there now. So, you need a schedule. Kids crave consistency. You need to have a schedule, a bedtime. The kids have to have it. If the kids come out of bed, that's something else. It's going to be a different class. Discipline is a different class. We'll talk about that. But a schedule means a schedule. And getting up in the morning means getting up in the morning. Going to school in the morning means going to school. There has to be a consistency. Kids crave consistency. There's this great book called The Baby Whisperer, right? By Tracy Hogg. V'shalom, she passed away. Really sad. But she left us a great book that literally you get your child onto a schedule. Literally, within the first few weeks, you get your child into a schedule because they crave consistency. That's how God made them, to love consistency. You give them that, they're going to feel secure because they know what's happening. You know when your kid is asking you, when are we getting there? When are we getting there? When are we getting there? It's because your kid is at that point feeling insecure about something. And, by the way, I think that speaks volumes of a great job that you're doing the other 98% of the time. Meaning, if there's a kid who's saying, when are we getting there? It's because he feels so secure all the other time that now there's this bleep on his radar screen of insecurity that he needs to go and kind of knock that bleep down to go and to feel you that, hey, when are we getting there? But it's incredible that feeling of security, step one is giving the kids a schedule, yourself a schedule to stick to. Number two, parents have to be invincible. I can't stress this more. You have to be a king. You are Mufasa. You remember from The Lion King, Mufasa? Mm-hmm. You are Mufasa. You're a king. You're powerful. You're a king. Nobody messes with your daddy, right? Nobody messes with Mufasa because he's a king. And what that means is your child looks up to you. Your kid looks up to you. He's like, just wow, he's my Abba. She's my mommy. They have to look up to you and feel that you are invincible and nothing in this world can shake you because you're their Abba. after 9/11, so Marvel Comics, well, Marvel and DC actually had a bunch of things where they came up with all these different pictures of firemen and policemen doing incredible things to kind of praise them, what they did by 9/11. There was one picture that will always stay with me. I forgot the artist who did it, something incredible. There was a picture, a big picture on the side of a building of a policeman and a fireman with Superman standing on just the ground with his back to you, Superman looking up like he's a little kid, and he just has one word. He's saying, wow. Meaning that he's looking to them like they're the greatest superheroes. Your kids look to you and say, wow. I mean, think about it. My Abba's stronger than your Abba. Wait, who's feeding you this stuff? What? My Abba has 12 guns. What are you talking about? But kids come up with this. Right, Abba, you climbed the biggest mountain? What are you, when did I ever say? Yeah, you told us. I told you I went hiking. but what is a kid? And to a kid, my Abba is so invincible that of course my Abba is stronger than your Abba, because there's nothing stronger than my Abba, so it has to be, logically, it has to come out that my Abba is stronger than yours, because there's nothing stronger than my Abba. Because he's so strong, he's invincible, he's amazing, he's incredible. So understand that you can't show yourself as weak in front of your children. I'm talking about physically. Don't show physical weakness. We're always be strong. You have physical weakness, go off to the side. Don't show too much physical weakness. Your kids want to see that you're strong. They want to see that. Frank Miller wrote one of the best Batman comics ever, called The Dark Knight Returns. I'm sure we all remember it, 1986, when he changed up the whole genre. Right? Good. We're all on the same page. So Batman at that point is much older, and nuclear war, different things. Superman couldn't say it. So basically, a nuclear thing hit. It's right next to Gotham. And Batman comes out. The way Frank Miller wrote it was perfect. Batman came out. Now, there was this electromagnetic thing that killed all electricity, so he couldn't take the Batmobile. Batman comes out on this huge black horse, on this thundering horse. And he comes out and he starts barking out orders to everybody what to do. And the way he wrote it is, we looked up and we saw him. He was a thundering God. He ordered and we listened. All of a sudden, nurses came with drugs and administered to people. All of a sudden, a line formed, bringing water to fires. All of a sudden, chaos was now taken care of and order was being restored. And then, for a short moment, after order was finally being restored, he draws a picture that Batman goes off. He's 60 at this point, Batman. He goes off to the side and he slumps inside the saddle of the horse. He just slumps down and he writes over there a great caption. An old man allows himself a moment to feel his age. If the people in Gotham would have seen it, they wouldn't have seen a thundering God. They would have seen an old man slumping over. If you are a thundering God, if you are Mufasa in your home, there is no weakness over there. Step one in physically, we have to try to show our kids that we're physically strong, if you can. And next, the moment you take yourself down a peg and show weakness in other things, the moment you go and you let your kids get to you, you can, once you show your kids that you're Mufasa and you're the king and you're strong, you see, growing up with a Moroccan father, that's very simple. If you're Moroccan, you know this, like your father was the king. That's just all there is to it. If you were driving somewhere, like a 3-hour drive on some trip, if you had to go to the bathroom as a Moroccan child, Ben, did you ever tell your father, Abba, pull over? No, that was it. I'll just let things happen. I will just allow, because honestly, to give my father even a moment of him having to do this, I can't allow that. I'm just not going to do that. So, your kids look up to you. Now, I'm not saying that you're a terror. No. You play with your kids. You have so much fun with your kids. Once your kids know that you're Mufasa, you get on the floor, you roll around, you play with them, you tickle them, and you have a great time. You can have fun. Fun is something that you have to have with your kids as long as there's a certain guideline. Your fun with the kids is okay, but being a baby with the kids is not. Being stupid with the kids. your kid does something to throw you off. My glasses. I need my glasses to drive. And my 1.5-year-old baby, Pinchemeyer, so a few weeks ago, he goes up to my glasses, he picks them up, he looks at me, he's like, this is about to happen. And he just cracks off one arm. Sadistic. He could have cracked both. No, he went and he cracked one. And he's like, I believe this is yours, yeah? And he just gave it back to me. And so I was walking around for like a few weeks with the helter-skelter kind of glasses doing their thing, because I don't know how to buy glasses yet in this country. And I just got here. In Israel, I knew the guy. I feel like there has to be a guide. And I was calling, like, who's the guy for glasses? Like, just go to LensCraft. I was like, no, there's got to be a guide. So, and then finally, Pinchemeyer went a few weeks ago, and he cracked the other arm. And I was ready to lose it. I was like, I was just ready to just go crazy on it, but I stopped, and you can't lose it. You can't. Because the moment you lose it in front of your child, he was able to take you out of your invincibility. Abba is weak. There's something that I can do to take him down. And that creates an insecure kid. Coming to the discussion of your parents fighting now. When parents show themselves to be babies, when parents show themselves to be weak and fight and yell, all the security goes out the window. I mean, you guys remember growing up and seeing, so your parents, and you felt you didn't know where to put yourself, and you had no idea, can I talk to him? Can I talk to her? You try to be, clean up something, do something to stop this crazy onslaught of hate that's going on in the home right now. It's something that hurt them so much. When we show this weakness within ourselves, ultimately, that is something that, unfortunately, we take all of that feeling of security right out of our kids. So, it demands work. It demands the most insane amount of work. So I told you I'm an artist. Years ago, when my son Azriel was only 6 years old, so he draws pretty well too. I mean, he's very good now. And I once drew a picture of Rabbi Ari Yosef only in pen. Okay, everybody appreciates how crazy that is. I drew it in pen. That's literally a tightrope person walking without a net. It's the same thing. There's no difference. I drew it just by pen the entire time, and it really was a fabulous picture. And I made the mistake of getting up for a minute and walking into the kitchen to go get a coffee. And Azriel decided to help me. And he took out an orange crayon and just started. And I saw him like, tum, 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 tum. And I turned him like, he's not doing it on my paper. No. And I came running, and he looked up, and he already started to pick up on the fact that all the happiness was being sucked out of the room like I was a Dementor in Harry Potter. And just all of a sudden, he just felt he's like, what is this? He started to feel all the happiness just being sucked out by his Abba, who's about to get in a rage. And I'm like, Oz. And he's like, Abba, I was just helping you because you told me I'm an artist too. And I said, you are an artist, and you did a great job. But hey, Oz, certain things are for Abba to draw, and certain things are for you. He's like, yeah, but you draw on all of my pictures. And I do. I make them better. He stinks. I mean, at 6 years old, he was good for a 6-year-old, but come on. One arm is so long and one is so short. Where is your anything when it comes to anatomy? I know you're 6, but is that an excuse? So but we had this talk, and I had to control. You have to control no matter what they do. We're going to have another class. We're going to talk all about the control of what your kids do to you. We're going to have to talk about that, but for the time being, understand when you lose it, you're damaging their security. And just because everybody here needs to know this, revenge is so sweet. A few months ago, so Azriel, now he's 10, and my twins are 6 years old. Azriel drew a beautiful picture, and I'm in the other room, and one of the twins drew crayon all over it. And I hear Azriel say to him, what'd you do? You ruined my picture. And in the other room, I was like, yes! Oh, you deserve it, because you deserve it, that's what happened. So I didn't do it in front of him. Well, now it's on tape. But you can celebrate these moments, not in front of the child. That's we're only human. But in front of the kids, what we're trying to do is to keep it. All right, so let's finish off now. Finishing off. Giving into tantrums. That's a no-no. Because understand, if you do, then you're weak. We're going to talk about tantrums. We're going to get there. It's going to be another class. We're going to get into tantrums, meaning there has to be a lot of things that are going to make it that your child should never fall into tantrumville. To make it that he doesn't, I'm not saying that my kids are perfect. They're not. There's a few of them really are sadistic. And, but you can cut off tantrums. At the beginning, there are certain mahalach, how to go about it. But step one is a home that is always happy, a home that's always full of simcha, a home that's always full of joy is literally almost tantrum-free. If you have gone to homes that they're constantly just happy the entire time, you think, oh, they have such great kids. No, they have such a great, happy home. Kids who feel secure don't feel like they have to throw tantrums. I'm telling you this. And if they throw the tantrum, you don't give in. Because then you're showing that you're weak. You're showing that you're weak. And, hey, if you say something, if you threaten something, you got to follow through. Because if you don't, then you're weak and you've made him insecure. So be careful. Be careful what you threaten. You know, if you were driving to Legoland with your kids, and it's, 2.5 hour drive, and as you're getting there, you're a half hour away, and your kids are just messing around in the back seat of the minivan. And like, that's it. If I hear one more fight or one more word, I'm turning this car around, we're going home. A good parent. The next fight, you have to put on that left blinker, and just make that U-turn right back to the valley because you said something. So what, Rabbi, I'm really supposed to do that? No, moron. Don't make that threat. That's what it is. Just don't hunt what you can't kill. Right? We say that about predator for a reason. Yeah. Don't hunt. It's such a good line. So, a punishment can be something so simple. A punishment can simply be, back in Israel, we used to have like the staircase. If the kid's messed up, if you continue this, you're going to have to sit on that step for 2 minutes. To the kids, sitting on that step was like solitary confinement on Rikers Island. They were like, whoa, okay. I had no idea things escalated so quickly, Abba. Yeah, no, I'm going to back off. I'm not going to sit on that step that's 2 feet away and still within the action of things. Meaning, you have to understand that your threats don't have to go full swing. Your threats can be the simplest, your punishments can be the simplest things possible, and they should be far and in between, and they will be far and in between. If you have a happy home with kids who feel secure, then it doesn't need to be a threatening home. So, what did we learn tonight? Just one last thing over here. Kids are not, somebody once said to me, an Abba or a mommy only says something once. If your kids listen, they listen. If they don't, they don't. I completely disagree with that. Have you ever been on your phone and somebody was speaking to you and you have no idea what they said? And then you looked up like, what? They're like, I literally just told you everything. Who killed JFK? I told you everything. Like, no, you didn't. I was like, no, you're. So your kid, like you, sometimes goes into a different world. Kids go into different planets. They space out. It's amazing. I love spacing out. It's the best. So sometimes they're just gone, and if they are, you may have to repeat yourself a few times, and that happens. Look, there are different mahalachs and chinuch. There are different ways to go about chinuch. This is the way that I go about it. This is the way that I like it. I'm not giving you too many technical things because I feel that the technical stuff sometimes is too technical. Sometimes it's just like if the kid doesn't follow exactly what the book said, you're like, oh no, but I was supposed to say, how come he's not going on the script? I'm trying to give you instead a much broader aspect of if you have a happy home and you keep a kid who's secure, most of these problems are going to begin to fall away and rather quickly. So what we learned tonight is, number one, don't leave them to the societal norms. Don't allow your children to be open up to all the craziness of the non-Jewish music, of the unlocked iPhones, of all these different things in the world. Rather, give them your own societal structure, your own societal clarity, your own things of value, and that should become their hergel. That should become their secure way of consistency. Number two, you can only teach bidachon if you yourself are teaching security to your children. If they feel secure in you, they'll eventually feel secure in God. Number three, the routine. Get into the routine. Like we said, the baby whisper. Get into routine of Shabbat singing, into routine of going to sleep and getting up with the kids. Get into your own routine and let your kids see that, because routine, that gives us secure kids. Secure kids don't hurt. Secure kids don't bully. Secure kids feel great about themselves. Secure kids can take embarrassment from others. Secure kids, no matter what gets thrown at them, they are secure in their own skin. They have enough confidence to deal with anything in life because they feel secure. Part of security we saw, number 4, is you can't be weak. Don't be weak. Be Mufasa. Be the king. Nothing can bother you. You're invincible. Let them look up to you. This isn't something crazy, by the way. When the kid was born, he looked up to you and said, wow, you're big. And wow, you're the one who takes care of me. You became Mufasa by default. You didn't have to do anything to earn it. And all you have to do is not screw it up to keep it. Just appreciate that. You're not your child's friend. You're the father. You don't have to be cool with them. They're not looking for that. They're looking for somebody to create rules in the home because they crave rules. They crave that kind of sense that I know what's happening next within that. You can't be weak inside that. You have to follow through on your words. And like we said in the first class, the most important one, you have to daven to Hashem to give you the clarity to be able to be mechanech for your children. I know this was a very long class. Does anybody have any questions? Or are we done for the evening? Right, we're good. A lot to think about. All right, Be'ezrat Hashem, the next class is going to be basically called Talking Child. How to talk kid again. How to learn how when your kids are saying things like what that means and how to really involve yourself. Because before discipline is the 5th class. Before discipline, we have to understand our children all over again to know where they're coming from. Eventually we get to discipline. Eventually we're going to talk about Shalom Bayit in the home and then to put it all together. We still have a lot to go through, Be'ezrat Hashem. I look forward to seeing everybody in future classes. Have a good night.